Alright. Save. Yeah, there we go. That's it. Again, sorry, that's my fault. Sorry, everyone.
Alright, so yeah, this is the first quarterfinals match between Herreteman and Alice Kiwi, 2 seed versus 7 seed. I don't believe these two runners faced each other during the Swiss part of the tournament, so this should be interesting to see how they fare against each other. Didn't miss much during the audio issues, just going through the beginning of the game, saving at the required save right at the start, and then coming here to the blacksmith to get the sword. By this point in the tournament, nothing out of the ordinary. Coming up, we have the first sequence break of the run, Power Glove Skip, also known as Toucan Jump. Going to be positioning this Gway, I think it is, or bird, whatever, crow, I don't know. Ooh, Herreteman failed it. So basically, you want to position the bird so that you can, like, damage boost and have it hit you backwards and get Power Glove Skip over the rocks. That is basically the only required use of the Power Glove in the entire game, pretty much. And Herreteman got it second try. Alice got it first try, so she's ahead of it right now. And in this cave, they want to survive, because dying would mean they have to do it again. They also want to get 10 rupees, because those are going to be important. They need 10 rupees to rent the bow. The first item you rent, no matter what item it is, will always be free. And then the bow, if you rent it before you beat Eastern Palace, it's 10 rupees. If you were to die when going through like the normal sequence of events in the game and have to re-rent the bow, it would be 10 rupees. Obviously, the bow is normally the first item you get, so it's typically free. Looks like both runners got some bad luck, so they're going to need to come over here to the right and get some rupees. It can take a while for these rocks to fall, and sometimes they don't fall exactly where you want them to, but looks like Alice got some decent luck with the rocks. Herreteman looks like goes better. He has a little bit more health, so I'll end up with a little bit more time to collect some rupees. There's a little bit of RNG in the rupee route, depending on what order you rent the items in. Some runners opt for more RNG, some runners opt for less. I believe Herreteman's going to be renting the Fire Rod, and I think Alice will also be renting the Fire Rod. That's the safe route, because you need 50 fewer rupees. The rupee route itself changes, but in the other route, more of those rupees come from RNG. And it looks like Alice is actually going to be renting the Tornado Rod. So already a slight difference in the route. It doesn't really change too much. It's a difference of only like a couple seconds. And it's really down to preference and how much RNG you want. They're still going to follow the same general route, at least throughout the beginning of the game. They're going to do what they've already done, go to the Sanctuary. Looks like Alice was about to go in the wrong direction. Yeah, so they're going to go to the Sanctuary. Dampé, of all people, is going to convince them that they can actually use the sword they've been carrying around. And then they'll be able to go through the Sanctuary, collect some more money, and attempt to rescue Ceres, or Stairs, or whatever her name is. But of course, that's not going to go too well. An interesting thing here is normally if you mash the B button, it'll always like default to the second option, but that doesn't happen here because it's not a yes/no prompt. It's just two different options for what you get to say, so that doesn't happen. You have to mash A there. The lamp is actually required in order to use any other items. You don't have access to equip items before you get the lamp. That's one of two reasons why you have to complete the sanctuary. Actually, you would just have to come here to get the lamp. But the reason you have to complete the sanctuary is because if you don't, then it's impossible to get the low roll later on. And the reason for that is you need to complete the sanctuary in order to advance the game to be able to talk to Zelda at Hyrule Castle. And talking to Zelda at Hyrule Castle is necessary in order to advance the state of Hyrule Castle to be one where you can go up the tower to get to low roll. They won't need to talk to Zelda until just before they go to low roll, but you'll see they still have to talk to her, even though the castle is sort of in a state where it's ready for them to go to low roll, meaning ready for them to go up the tower and such. Oh yes, best cutscene in the game, probably. So yeah, continuing things about weird game states and layers and things, there's multiple different states the shop can be in. There's the initial, like, pre-shop state, as we call it, where you've, like, met Ravio, he's there, and he'll, like, give you the bow, I believe. But he doesn't actually have, like, the rest of the items available to rent. That doesn't happen until, you hit one of two triggers in the game, one of which is the cutscene at the start of Death Mountain, and the other is getting the flippers. Once that happens, it advances the shop to a state where you can rent all of the items except for the sand rod, which is locked away behind being rented out by someone else, actually. It's kind of funny that someone else beats you to your own house, but sand rod's useless anyway, so that doesn't matter. Now, because we activate the second state of the full shop before we activate the pre-shop, then we have both Ravios there for the entire game. Normally, if you activate the pre-shop first, activating the full shop makes the pre-shop go away, but obviously we don't have the pre-shop yet when we activate the full shop. Alright, and we're off to Eastern Palace. This first room's a bit tricky to get the cycles right. You want to be damage boosted off that small ball so that you can walk through the big one, and then not have to go around the next wave. So Herreteman going to that room with the fairies. It's quite a bit of rupees in there. It's very fast place to get a lot of money. we're coming up on Eastern Palace, boss key skip, or big key skip, as they are in this game. It's going to be one of several tricks in this game that uses a Tornado Rod, what we call Tornado Rod Lift. Basically, Herreteman's going to use the Tornado Rod at the right timing when he has invulnerability from just having been hit by the Armos to push himself and the Armos up. And then what will happen is his invulnerability will run out at the right time, so he'll be able to be hit again, and then he'll be pushed onto the upper wall by the Armos. Looks like he's having some struggles with it, but there, he gets it on the second try. I'm sure he's mad at himself. But that trick is one of the more difficult ones in the run now, actually. A lot of the more difficult tricks have been eliminated or replaced by easier versions, so that really is one of the hardest tricks left in the run. Like, Alice is going to reset the Armos. So the premise of the Yuga 1 fight, you just want to use arrows whenever possible. You want to get him to like come out of the wall as fast as possible, but you have to watch your stamina, and you need to know when you need to approach and use your sword and recharge some of your stamina. Looks like Alice is continuing to struggle with the big key skip, specifically with positioning that Armos. It can be a little bit weird. The cycles of the room can be kind of weird if you have already like shot the switch and stuff. Looks like that position should work, and yeah, okay. So she was just messing up the positioning, and once she had it, it looked like she got it right away. So Herreteman's collecting more rupees. He got the 100 rupee chest, very fast chest, one of probably the fastest chests in the entire rupee route. There's another 100 rupee chest that we're getting right before leaving the dungeon. It takes a little bit longer than that one, but still by far worth it over just cutting random bushes and stuff. And not Alice finishing up Yuka 1. So this next part of the run is what what I like to call like Hyrule cleanup. You're basically doing all the things you need to do, like the items you need to get in Hyrule before actually doing the last 2 Hyrule dungeons and like finishing by getting the Master Sword and going to Lorule. And that's renting a bunch of items. Right now it's going to be just the bombs and some more items later. Or bombs and hammer, actually. And then doing the stuff to get the Pegasus boots and the flippers, pretty much. Those are 2 very important items. It is possible to skip the Pegasus boots. They're a completely optional item, even in normal gameplay. But they save so much time in a couple different places, just as well as just general movement, that they're definitely worth the time to get. It's really not that much extra time to get them. And then the flippers, you can skip them if you're only doing certain parts of the game, and you can actually get to Lorule without them, but in order to beat the game, you need the flippers. And even for certain things you can skip them for, it's faster to have them. So the best time is to just get them now, before anything you need them for. And the bell is also very important. Allows you to warp to the weather vanes you've activated. And now Herreteman's off to Zura's domain. An interesting thing, I mentioned that it's possible to activate the shop, the full shop by getting the flippers early, or by getting the flippers. And it is possible to get the flippers early, but it requires doing 2 damage boosts off of randomly spawning bees. And it's slower anyways, so thankfully no one ever has to do that trick. The reason, of course, you have to do it twice is because you have to come here once to run into the shady guy, which is what allows you to buy the smooth gem, and then you have to come back with the smooth gem to actually get the flippers. Because you have to come back, Herreteman activated that weather vane at the witch's hut. And here's the smooth gem, 200 rupees, the most expensive thing you have to get in the run. If you didn't have to get it, it would make the rupee route significantly faster, but you do have to get it, so. And there's this house silver, which is actually pretty quick. The slowest part about it is the loading zones, unfortunately. And then here are the Pegasus boots. Like I said, they really don't take that long to get. They're by far worth it. If you skip the flippers, that would be another story, but they'd still be worth it. An interesting mechanic that you'll notice with the boots in this game, they have a somewhat long startup animation, and they also have a somewhat long finishing animation. The startup animation, it's just, you have to make sure you aren't dashing in the presence of enemies, or they could hit you out of the starting animation, for instance. But the finishing animation, if you cancel it in the right way, you'll actually slide across gaps. Yeah, if you cancel the dash the right distance away from a gap, you'll actually slide across it. And if there's land on the other side, you'll make it. So that's sort of useful in a couple places. But there's bigger uses of the Pegasus boots still. So here we have the first instance of a bomb rod. This one's sort of environment aided. It's much easier than most other instances of bomb rod. Basically, you place a bomb, and with the right time you use the tornado rod, and the bomb will hit you when you're at the peak of your tornado rod, if you time it correctly. And you will basically have your collision reset, and because you're high enough from the tornado rod and your collision just reset, you get popped up onto the ledge. Now I said that one's environment aided, and that's actually because of that, like, column that the trick is done in front of, and that actually kind of clips you up, in addition to the bomb rod resetting your height. And that bomb rod skips a cutscene. That's the trigger is like at the top half of the stairs, and that trigger is still there even after you have the flippers, which is why you have to kind of do that weird movement to avoid the stairs even on the way back. And so now it's time for House of Gales. It's possible to enter this dungeon without the flippers, as I alluded to earlier, but to do so it requires doing another damage boost off a crow, which is much harder to set up. And then you have to use the ice rod in combination with the hook shot to hook shot and get pushed by the ice platform in the water, and then you can get across without actually landing in the water. It's really a strange trick that you'll never see unless someone's doing get to low roll RTA or something. But interesting trick. Unfortunately, you'll never see it unless we find a lot more things to skip the flippers. You also notice that Herreteman opted not to get the second item pouch, so he'll only be able to equip one item throughout the game. That that's kind of it's unfortunate for Hyrule because you have to pause anytime you want to change items. But once you get quick equip, it really is not a big deal that you only have one item at a time. You won't have to pause in order to switch items anymore. But I bring that up because in that like mini boss room, if you have the bombs equipped, there's a faster strat you can do. But it's not faster to equip the bombs and then go back to the tornado rod. So there's a slightly slower strat there. And he's gonna use the tornado rod while the cutscene plays, so he can run across during the cutscene. Saves a little bit. And then here he's gonna use the tornado rod and have it be cancelled by that iron bar, so skips the animation. You can get this key from below, just because you can. And then getting the key for some reason puts you... It's weird, you can hit the key from the bottom, but then it's collecting the key that actually puts you on top of the thing after the cutscene. I believe if you were to try and do that tornado rod after the key was gone, you wouldn't be able to actually land on the floor where the key is. Ooh. So Herreteman's trying to do this trick to get to the 3rd floor early. The loading zone's active even though the fan's not on, but he messed it up. Or the somewhat specific positioning of the keys. Luckily, it's really easy to get the keys into that position. That's essentially a bomb rod. If you were to just stand down top of the fan or vent and tornado rod, you wouldn't hit the loading zone. The keys rod, if you will. And now here we have Margo Mill. So he's going to switch to bombs, and he's going to do the rest of the fight with bombs. That's, again, just because it takes too long to switch what item you have equipped. And the bombs are fast for knocking out these sections. It requires, the sections have 5 health. A slash does 1 damage, a spin attack does 2, and I believe a bomb does 3. So 1 spin attack and 1 bomb is enough to knock them out. He is going to have to reset his stamina at one point, so even though that fall specifically didn't look intentional, he needs to fall at one point anyway, so it doesn't really matter as long as he does it before he actually runs out of stamina. So usually people do it between like this phase 1 and phase 2, or right at the start of phase 2, with like that first hit kind of being phase 0. Let's see how Alice does with the keys trick. That looks like a good... that position might not work, though. I think she's a little too high. Yeah. So this heart container is actually faster to get because it spawns the pendant right away. You don't have to wait for it. It's the only dungeon where that's the case. Looks like Alice is just standing a little bit too high, but that might work. It's close. Yeah, she's standing a little bit too high. I'm trying to do that trick. Set up the keys. Luckily, this trick is pretty consistent with you stand in the same spot, the keys will always fly to the same spot. That spot's definitely gonna work. Yeah. Takes damage to save time. If anyone understands that joke, it's I don't know. You can actually, there's supposed to be like 3 caves to go through on the way to Tower of Hera, but the 2nd and 3rd are connected in that the 3rd is above the 2nd, so you can drop down from the 3rd to the 2nd. But you can actually do that dash where you like stick along the wall and get like from the second to the third. It's not a dash slide because you'll always dash across. You just need to cancel in time so that you don't drop down on the other side and have to do it again. And luckily there are those hearts there, so even though he had to take damage to get through the cave faster, he's got full health for Tower of Hera, which has the hardest trick in the run, probably. It's a 2-frame bomb rod. In comparison, I'm not sure exactly how many frames the one for fish skip is, which is the trick that skips the cutscene before the flippers. But this is far fewer frames, and it's 2 frames at 60 FPS nonetheless, so 30th of a second. Gonna kill these mini Moldorms so they don't mess him up. And he's been struggling with this trick lately. Let's see how he does it. Ooh, just a tad bit late. If the bomb hits you, but you don't get in the wall, then you're late. If the bomb doesn't hit you, then you're early. Yeah, so there he was just probably a frame or 2 early. And he's got to watch out for his stamina. I guess I didn't explain. Because of the sequence breaking they did at the start, the stamina meter isn't there, but he still has it. It's just visually not there. And 3rd try on the bomb rod, which isn't too bad. I believe you can get it as late as like 4th or 5th try, and it still breaks even with doing the dungeon normally. Don't quote me on that, though. So the rest of the dungeon is done inbounds, as opposed to what we used to do in like 2014. Believe it or not, we used to stay out of bounds longer. But that required just a lot of waiting for stamina to recharge and not actually doing anything. Turns out it's like 5 to 10 seconds faster to go in the dungeon. But it is possible to skip a room like this. It's possible to skip all the instances of these like tile rooms in the game. But that one's not faster to skip. And then no boss key skip is possible. Plus the boss key's super fast to get anyways. It's right across from the boss door. I guess they were kind of lazy, or I don't know. Lazy game design in my opinion, but whatever. So here we have Moldorm. The best way to fight Moldorm is with the bow. Moldorm has 7 health. Arrows do 2 damage. So Herreteman's going to use 3 arrows and finish him off with a slash. Every time you hit Moldorm, or depending on Moldorm's health, it speeds up. He's trying to get got away from him there. He finishes off with a slash. It's really hard to hit Moldorm with an arrow when he only has 1 health left because he's moving so fast. But what are you gonna do? It'll be interesting to see if he skips the heart container, and he is gonna skip it. It's faster to skip the heart container because you can skip the pendant spawning animation if you drop down to the previous floor and then come back up. You could, if you wanted, drop down, come back up, and then get the heart container, but that's also kind of slow. And 1 extra heart is usually not a big deal in this run. It's when you start to skip a lot of heart containers that you start to run into problems with your health. A lot of times throughout most of the run, a lot of runners opt to only get heart containers for health refills, because any other health refill would take too long. But some runners do opt to get most of the heart containers. I believe the optimal run, I believe accounting for skipping the Tower of Hera heart container, and the heart containers you can't get because you are going to skip some bosses later on, I believe the most you can get in this run is 10. But I've seen runners finish runs with as few as like 6 or 7, so... yeah. So Herreteman rented the rest of the items, and now he's got Quick Equip. Or he's getting Quick Equip, which is gonna mean so he's not gonna have to pause for the rest of the run if everything goes well. And he'll be on his way to Hyrule Castle for the first time, actually. And he doesn't have enough money? What's he doing? Oh, you forgot to get the Master Sword. I've never seen that mistake before, but I'll be sure to make fun of him for it later. Yeah, I didn't think Quick Equip needed the Master Sword. I think it just needed you to be able to get the Master Sword. I think buying items needs the Master Sword. Not sure why that's different. Meanwhile, Alice is still struggling with the Hera Bomb Rod. Oh, that's a funny mistake from Herreteman. Ooh, that's really not good from Alice. She got the bomb rod to the next floor, but she flipped inbounds on this floor. So I believe what she should just do at this point is go through the rest of the dungeon normally. I'm not sure if she knows that, though. Or if she knows how. It's really only a couple floors, there's not that much to it, but could be bad. See if she's gonna... Maybe she's gonna do that now. Yeah, it looks like she's gonna go through the rest of the dungeon normally. Or maybe not. And now that Herreteman has the Master Sword, he can go to Hyrule Castle, and all is well on his side. Oh, so yeah, you can just walk through that door backwards, and he's back trying the bomb rod. It probably would have been faster to go through the dungeon normally, but... Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, Hyrule Castle is kind of in a hybrid state between... You're supposed to... You haven't been here for the first time, like, this is your first time here, you haven't met Zelda yet, but you're also here with the Master Sword, so you could go to Lorel if you could just get behind these guards that are blocking the side path. Unfortunately, those guards don't go away until you... So... And he's just sitting on this text box? Not sure why. Maybe he's taking a bathroom break again. Don't know what that was, but he's moving on now. So the first couple rooms of this tower involve either killing or avoiding some enemies, and then after that it's mainly just trying not to bonk on some dashes. You'll notice the first use of Quick Equip cancel here though. He's opening Quick Equip and then canceling it to cancel the item animation of using the Ice Rod, and that just allows for using the item again a lot faster. Or in other situations later on, it also allows you to move a lot faster after using an item. And here he's doing a trick similar to Eastern Palace boss key skip, though a lot easier, and that's going to allow him to skip killing all these Armos. Saves like 20 seconds, I'd say. And so here's the first time we actually see Zelda. Due to the states of Hyrule Castle, she wasn't actually in the throne room. But here she is. I believe this is the only time you see Zelda in the run until the ending. Well, you see her painting, I guess, in the final fight. So I was saying the game for the second part of Hyrule Castle here is to avoid bonking. Herreteman's doing it the safe way, where you dash horizontally and up or down or left or right. You can dash diagonally on these stairs, but you risk bonking for really no reason sometimes. We still don't know what causes it. If it's like a subpixel thing, if it's just random, we don't really know. So now Yuga 2. Normally this fight is 5 cycles, but you can skip the last cycle by doing 2 spin attacks on the 4th cycle. I believe, I'm not sure exactly how much health that boss has, I forget. But it's mostly cycle based, so you tell which one is the real one by looking at the flame, and if they don't cross each other, it always stays the same one. But if they do cross, then it can be either one. Yeah, so 10 health. That's what I thought. I don't know why I thought it was 3 slashes each on the first. Yeah, that wouldn't have made sense. Anyways, yeah. Good fight from Herreteman. Pretty good luck, too. He's off to low roll. Alice is still struggling. Like I said, this trick is probably the hardest trick in the entire run. that Alice is still stuck on. The 1/30th of a second input. And she did get the trick, although, like, she did get the right timing on one of the inputs. She was just in a bad position that clipped her in bounds right away. Looks like she's determined to keep going. Oh, there, she finally got it. That's some real perseverance right there from Alice. To stick with it, despite failing it for so long. Meanwhile, Herreteman's going to activate this Blacksmith Weather Vane. It's going to be important to come back for Thieves' Hideout later on. And then he's off to the Vacant House to get the only other Weather Vane he's going to get in the last Weather Vane you activate in the run. This is important because it's just a Weather Vane that's really close to a portal back to Hyrule, which he's not going to be using quite yet. Right now he's going to be going straight to Swamp Palace, just because it's the closest to where you start, other than Thieves' Hideout, which, for reasons I'll explain, you want to save for the last dungeon. The dungeon order is somewhat flexible in Lorule, but basically you always want to do Swamp first because it's closest, and not Thieves. Desert right after Swamp because it's easiest to get to from Swamp as opposed to anywhere else. Then you have some options. You want to do Ice, Skull, or Dark Then Turtle, and you want to do Thieves last. You also know Herreteman is going... Wow, there's a lot to explain. So he did an Ice Rod clip to skip needing the big bomb flower to get into the dungeon, and that uses a quick equip cancel so that you can walk underneath that, like, the ice ball, and then the ball lands on you and clips you out of bounds. Then you're underneath the water and you can just walk in the dungeon. Then he did another clip right there to get out of bounds, to get up onto the platform, to hit the switch to move the platform so that he can now jump up with the Tornado Rod and get higher up on the wall. And then he's going to walk into the boss room, and that's a boss key skip. Now, what I was saying is, you'll note he went to the left. If he had gone to the right, he could have done slightly different out-of-bounds stuff and actually been able to skip the boss. But that's kind of difficult. And I believe Herreteman's one of the few runners who still doesn't skip the boss. Not because the actual boss skip is difficult. I believe his reasoning is that one of the Ice Rod clips you do is inconsistent when you go to the right side for boss skip. And that was a fairly clean fight from him. One of the best first phases I've seen. Of course, I don't see many artist fights recently because you can skip this boss. Very good fight in an any percent. You really only see this boss in like a 100% or in the rare glitchless run, but very good fight with like any percent strats from Herreteman. Pretty good Swamp Palace overall. For not attempting a boss skip. So I guess, real quick, about the Lorule route. The reason you want to do Thieves' Hideout last is because normally it can't be the last dungeon you complete, because beating Thieves' Hideout unlocks your ability to get the Sand Rod, because the person who rented the Sand Rod is Oswald, who's the sage that you rescue in Thieves' Hideout. Rescuing him means you can rent the Sand Rod, which means you can do Desert Palace. And so therefore, Thieves is not supposed to ever be the last dungeon you do. But if it is the last dungeon you do, then the cutscene of talking to Oswald and like him saying, yeah, oh yeah, here's the Sand Rod back, you know, give it to Ravio, and then rent it, which is also dumb. He should just give you the sand rod. Anyways, that cutscene is going to cancel the Triforce cutscene, and so that's about a minute-long cutscene that you skip. So it's much faster to save Thieves' Hideout for last. So he's straight to Desert Palace as Alice makes her way to the Master Sword. He's going to do an Ice Rod clip to get out of bounds and then up onto the upper level inbounds, and then he's going to do a Fire Rod damage boost to get onto the upper level out of bounds. So he gets out of bounds on the bottom, Tornado Rod's up, and then he's going to do a Fire Rod boost. Oh. Fire Rod boost to get on the top upper wall. And then he's going to dash around. The boss is actually in low roll, even though the dungeon's in high roll, and he's going to do a dash slide to skip the boss. So the next dungeon he's going to do is Skull Woods. He's going to take this portal right by where he gets dropped off near the Weather Vane, and he's going to warp to Kakariko Village, which has a portal that is in the Skullwood that leads to the Skullwoods area in the. I think it's amazing that you can pretty much beat. You can have like 2 Laurel dungeons beat less than 50 minutes into the run. Back when this game like first came out, it took you like 45 minutes to get to the Laurel. Sometimes even more. Like it took like close to 50 minutes to even get to Laurel, I believe, when the game first came out. Anyways, Skullwoods. Alice has the Master Sword now. Skullwoods is a dungeon you'll see a lot of like quick equip canceling and a lot of like switching items with equip. But mainly it's just optimizing movement, avoiding some enemies, hoping you get good luck in one room, and then there are 2 tricks you'll see at the end of the dungeon. Coming up is the party room. One of the biggest RNG parts. Well, the biggest RNG part of the dungeon. I'd say one of the biggest parts of RNG at this point in the run. There's not too much RNG left in this run once you're in low roll. But if these enemies are going to be avoiding him, which they're not, sometimes the enemies just don't bother you at all. But if they do, you kind of have to wait because you need that Wall Master to be off the cycle or it'll grab you when you turn it around onto the wall there. Yeah, best case scenario for party room versus like worst case scenario, probably like 15 or more seconds. You can dash there to get the key, and then you can drop down and it puts you back up on top. And here he's going to use the lamp to turn these Gyptos into Stalfos. They're sort of like stunned a bit, like they don't move when they first turn into Stalfos, so that gives you plenty of time to charge up a spin attack and quickly kill them. Stalfos have a lot less health than Gyptos, and without a sword upgrade, it's by far worth it to turn them into Stalfos. So here's doing eyeball dupe. He's gonna throw the eyeball at the pedestal, and then not into the pedestal, but at the pedestal, and then he's gonna get closer and throw it into the pedestal, but then he can grab it back at the right time so that it both goes back into his hands, but also goes into the pedestal, and then he still has the eyeball in his hand, so he can throw that like fake eyeball into the other pedestal. If you were to miss that throw, you wouldn't be able to pick it up again because it doesn't actually exist. Yeah, so day 1 boss skip here. Yeah. We had theorized that a skip like that would be possible on Argus as well. But there's another type of boss skip you can do on Argus. It does theoretically work in any like on any boss like that has like some sort of vertical attack, but it's the only one you can do it on. Of course, not all the boss rooms have like a loading zone behind them. It's only this one and Argus, I believe. So ignore what I just said about it working on any boss. Okay, so now he's going to be going to Ice Ruins, which this is kind of the longest overworld section of Lorule, because he has to go through, get to Death Mountain, and then go through the Ice Cave to actually get to Ice Ruins. Which is mainly just an auto-scroller. Like one minor thing you can do to speed it up by like half a second. Although the way he's going to get to the Ice Cave is somewhat interesting. Normally you're supposed to go, like, be near Tower Terra, go down the entire, like, ore mine in Hyrule, to get to basically where he is now, or to the other side of this bridge in Lorule, and then go through the Ice Cave. But he's going to come down here from, like, the middle of Death Mountain in Hyrule, go straight to Lorule, and then he can do a Fire Rod boost to the side of the bridge, hookshot laterally across the bridge, I guess, and then hookshot across, and by staying out of bounds, he's able to avoid a Hill of the Text trigger. That's like the text trigger. It's like you're in Death Mountain. There's a temple nearby or whatever. Go rescue a sage. She has like a text like one for every area where there's a sage, pretty much. Yeah, so that Tornado Rod onto the top of that platform saves half a second. Because it skips merging, and every time you merge or unmerge, actors are paused for 15 frames. And so if you skip an entire merge, half a second. He also placed those pins, because, why not? And there's Alice is fighting Yuga too. And she's done fighting Yuga too. I think Herreteman is really bored right now. Yeah, so that cave takes like around a minute and a half, and the dungeon itself is like 40 seconds, so the cave is over twice as long. We'll see if he's able to actually do it in. That's like the IL time. In a run, it's probably like 45 seconds. You don't want to just go completely risky. You want to make sure you don't trigger the boss. Spoilers, he's not going to fight the boss. He's going to walk on this elevator to clip out of bounds. He's going to dash up to stick out of bounds. Then he's going to do this sort of precise out of bounds movement to make sure, or to get down to the boss room. And then because he landed on the top half of the arena, the boss doesn't actually spawn, so it's kind of unloaded right now, and you can kill it while it's unloaded to spawn the heart container and get the painting. And yeah, I'd say that was about 50 seconds. So, yeah, half the length of the ice cave. So Herreteman's going to be making his way to Dark Palace, and I think Alice forgot to get the blacksmith leather vein. Yeah, so here's where the again, the vacant house weather vein comes in handy for just being really close to a portal back to Hyrule. Here you actually want it specifically because it's being at your house in Hyrule is the fastest way to get to Dark Palace. Otherwise, you would get the Misery Mire with the rain, because that's also equally as close to a portal back to Hyrule. But you specifically need one that's near, that takes you back to your house to get to Dark Palace. Anyways, he's in the Dark Maze now. Pretty much, he's going to skip this. Basically skips right to the end of it. He's gonna hope for good luck, but also position this enemy in the right spot to be able to. Ooh, that's really bad. He's got 1 heart. Oh, 2 hearts, right. Okay. Oh, he could have hookshotted that heart if he really wanted to. Anyways, yeah, so he positions that enemy in the right way, and then uses it to get out of bounds, like stuns it, and then bonks on the tree to get out of bounds. And then he's very careful right there to not take damage from that bomb, but also to not fall in the water when doing the trick, because if you fall in the water, it can be pretty difficult to get out, although it is possible. Now he is on 1 heart, so he's got to be very careful. He should probably equip the lamp, but yeah, he's equipping the lamp. Yeah, he really does not want to. Yeah. Meanwhile, Alice is trying for right side Swamp Palace, which is the way that allows you to skip the boss. I believe that clip Alice just did is the one that Herreteman finds inconsistent. Okay, so now she has to raise this water here, and then she's going to be doing a clip in this room that'll allow her to swim towards the boss room and skip the boss. Herreteman not getting any hearts. Gonna, yeah, play it safe. Get that heart on the wall. So Alice is out of bounds. He's gonna be careful to avoid these stairs, because if you go up, that's pretty bad. Or down, I guess. Yeah, so Alice is gonna swim carefully out of bounds, get in a pretty precise position, which is really hard to do when you're in the water, and then try to swim while facing the right direction to be kind of half inbounds, half out of bounds in the wall in the boss room. And then from there you can navigate to the loading zone so the painting is. Like I said, this position is pretty precise. Looks like she's being safe with lining it up. Meanwhile, Herreteman had one of the bombs despawn, which just happens sometimes for seemingly no reason. Okay, so she's halfway in the wall now. She's gotta be very careful. The corner, in my opinion, is the hardest part. Looks like she's got the corner, though. Go a little bit faster. I guess she really just wants to play it safe, though. Meanwhile, Herreteman is fighting Gemasaur. He got the first cycle down, or the first phase done nice. Placing 3 bombs before the fight even starts. It's very, can be somewhat difficult to get the stamina management right for that. Looks like Alice gets the boss skip on Argus. Meanwhile, the second phase of Gemasaur. Herreteman's gonna wait on this second torch until Gemasaur is nearby, so then you can hopefully get good luck and just hit him 7 times right away. And that was pretty good luck. Not perfect. The best thing for him to do would be to literally just sit there and do nothing. But 1 head bonk is not that bad on Gemasaur. It's a lot better than the worst thing, which would be for him to just walk around and not, for him to walk around and do nothing. Sitting in one place and doing nothing is fine. Walking around and doing nothing is not fine. That's the end of Dark Palace. Alice is on her way to Desert Palace. Herreteman's next dungeon will be Turtle Rock. Get to Turtle Rock, Herreteman's going to go backwards through the Dark Maze, and then he's going to do a damage boost, a Fire Rod damage boost, to get out of bounds, and then walk towards the Turtle Rock area, which is where House of Gales is in Laurel. Gonna hopefully, no, he's gonna kill this Hinox. Nope, I'm not gonna kill the Hinox. He's gonna do that damage boost. And he's out of bounds, and he's gonna hopefully not clip back in bounds, because that can be bad. If he clips in the water, it's fine. And then now he's in the Turtle Rock area. Alice Palace. Position looks correct. Looks like this should work. Yep. And so now it's just dash slash he's got to do. Meanwhile, Herreteman's going to be doing animation storage. He's going to swim up into that dock, but not actually hop up onto it. That stores the animation of jumping out, and ooh, he got bad luck with the coup there that was spitting the fire. he got the jump, but the fire hit him out of the jump, so he couldn't actually get into the underneath the gate here. That's great, I guess. That allows you to get into Turtle Rock without saving the turtles. Turtle Rock is what formerly was most runners' least favorite dungeon. It's pretty fun now. I like the... I'm personally a very big fan of the new trick here, or the new method for the same trick, I guess. The old trick here was a frame-perfect bomb rod. So the one in Tower Para we saw Alice struggling with, that's 2 frames. This one was 1 frame, 1/60th of a second. The new method uses a whiz robe instead of a bomb and is much more lenient. Basically, the reason a bomb rod has very few frames is because there's few frames where the bomb is at its most exploded, I guess. And so therefore there's only like a couple frames where you can be at the height of your tornado rod while the bomb is at its most exploded. Whereas with the whiz robe's shot, it goes horizontally, so it's always at the right height, and you just need any one of the frames where you're underneath it, which is a lot more than, which is just a lot more frames. There was also a mini Coco mini game, except with whiz robe flames there. You know, where you gotta avoid the Cocos. So, this boss, the first phase is, well, usually it's not too bad, but that was an interesting pattern. And then the second phase is mostly just RNG, with what attacks you get. You want him to just do headbutts, because you can hit him in the middle of those. If he does flames, you kind of just have to wait, and if he spins, you kind of just have to get hit. So, he also equipped the hook shot instead of the bow, not quite sure why, could just be a mistake. Unless he knows something I don't. Yeah, he's meant to equip the bow. Okay. And getting hit right at the start. Nice job, Herreteman. Spin. Alright, not the best pattern so far. Spin. I'm gonna avoid this one because it's not health. Usually you can just, if you really want to avoid it, Grinix can't get into the corners, so... Yeah, not the best luck at all. Wow. That's some bad luck for Herreteman. So Herreteman just has Thief's Hideout left. Meanwhile, Alice is in the party room. She's opting to just take care of the enemies. And kill this as well. And take a little monster kill. She's at it. And now Herreteman's back to the blacksmith for Thief's Hideout. The code there is 231, because 23 is number 1. Yeah. Thief Girl ruins this dungeon. Pretty much. So there's this statue puzzle. And Herreteman's actually going to want to take damage here. There's a fight coming up where if you're at full health, it can mess up a 2-cycle, so he takes damage so that he doesn't have sword beams, and that'll allow him to get an... or that'll pretty much make the 2-cycle possible, I should say. It doesn't make it easy. Pretty much not possible if you have sword beams. Now that he has that door open, he's gonna move the statues in a different way and then use them to clip out of bounds. Wow, Alice is about to do eyeball dude. So he has to solve this statue puzzle because he needs Thief Girl to be able to walk through this door later on. But then he's gonna do this to get to the mini-boss quicker. It's really dumb that Thief Girl cannot walk through doors backwards, even though Link can. That would save quite a bit of time, and would make this dungeon at least a little bit less frustrating for being unbreakable, but hey, at least it had this minor skip. Yeah, so sword beams on these Igors kind of messes up the timing. It looks like his timing is just quite off, even without the sword beam. Nice bombs. It actually is possible to skip this mini-boss, but it is slower. It requires basically just more out-of-bounds movement, and then you have to light that torch, and then you can get that key without... and the boss will just not be there anymore. The mini-boss, I guess. And Thief Girl time. Resident Sleeper. Meanwhile, Alice is on her way to Vice Ruins. Small optimization to not hit that switch and go get Thief Girl until after you've knocked this gate down. It just saves a tiny bit because you don't have to... or there's like fewer animations in stopping and starting. Oh my god. Herreteman has been getting the worst luck this run. What? What? Alright then. Thief Girl gets stuck on corners now. And he walks into that cutscene. You can avoid that cutscene trigger just by not walking on the far side of those red blocks, but messed it. You can do a dash here diagonally and then cancel it at the right time where you can fall down onto the lower level during that cutscene, but it's pretty precise. And you messed it up. I think it's only 1 or 2 frames, maybe. To cancel the dash. No, Alice got... Oh no, Alice is on the Ice Cave. I don't know why I thought she was in Ice Ruins already. Almost done with this Thief Girl shenanigan. Yeah, so that's the... We're back in this room. That's why he needed to do the statue puzzle. Instead of just using the statues, to get out of bounds. Thief Girl would get stuck, and then he would be in... You'd have a problem, because... Yeah. Would not be good if that door wasn't open. But it's unfortunate that Thief Girl can't go through the door backwards when Link can. Now Alice is in Ice Ruins. For the attempting the skip. She's gonna attempt to buffer it. It just makes the timing for when you have to cancel to stay out of bounds on the elevator easier. But you do have to actually be, like, walking to be out of bounds. You can't just be on, like, the edge of the elevator. You have to actually be walking into the side. So the hammer also destroys this boss. It does double hits, and I believe double damage as well. Yeah, second phase is already done, just with two double hits from the hammer. And, yeah, the hammer just obliterates that boss. So even though you could clip, like, into where it looks like there should be a loading zone for the shed, like behind the door, there's not actually a loading zone there until you've been in the shed before, I believe, is when that loading zone appears. So it's not like some other Zelda games where there's just no loading zone and the only way to get in the house is to actually open the door. Because I believe if you've, like, already beaten the dungeon and then you clip into the shed, there is a loading zone that takes you inside it. But it's just not there yet, which is unfortunate. And it's one of a couple instances of that happening in the game. You can actually clip behind the gate to Laurel Castle, like, somewhat easily, but there's no loading zone until the door is open. So, no Laurel Castle early, which is unfortunate because that trick was found like the first week the game came out. Speaking of Laurel Castle, that's all Herreteman has left. And he's probably going to be saving. Meanwhile, Alice is out of bounds. Looks like she's moving with a spin attack charge, which isn't necessary, but she's playing it very safe. Yeah, he's saving. Yeah, Alice is playing it very safe. There's really no need to play it this safe. This movement is not nearly as precise as the swamp movement. But she's got it. Better safe than sorry, I guess. Ah, there's the first monster death from Herreteman. You almost want a whole run without him. I was rooting for him to not hit them. It's rare that you go a whole run without taking any of them up. A bit of bad luck from those enemies there. You had to wait to dash so that they wouldn't bump into him. This is going to be going into the bomb trial. and that's gonna allow him in that trial to do a trick to skip all of the trials. It's going to use the Big Bomb Flower in this trial, and he's going to do a newer method for this trick. Well, it's not too new, and going to use he's going to actually use the Big Bomb Flower instead of just old methods use just the rock. This one actually uses the Big Bomb Flower for the boost instead of a normal bomb. He's going to line up with the hookshot here, and then he's going to do a slash, shoot the hookshot, and that's just for timing, and then he's going to do another slash. And he messed it up. What that would have done is that would have pushed him up onto the upper wall, and then he could have walked down behind the boss door. He's got only one more try at this. After that, he's going to have to do the old trial skip method. Yeah. He's going to have to do the other method, or hope for some heart. He did save, so he decides to yeah, just one heart left. I suppose if he fails this, he's just going to immediately reset. He did save. That would be unfortunate, though. Yeah. He uses the hookshot to line up, and then... yeah, that positioning... I think he's messing out the positioning. Getting boosted. I'm actually sort of... I don't personally know how to do this setup, although I do know how it works. I haven't bothered learning it. On the bright side, this means he technically doesn't have monster hits now. You know, Alice got Dark Maze skip. I'm just playing it safe with the guard there. Well, that's not good. Now he only has 2 tries. Or he only has 2 tries without getting hearts anyways, I guess. Yeah, the positioning for Link is slightly more important than the positioning for the bomb, although both are somewhat precise. And there, he got it. Okay, so that's called alternate trial skip. Now he's going to do this dash, and he skipped the trials. So, basically, that's just a new-ish setup that's more position-dependent instead of timing-dependent. Whereas the other setup is a frame-perfect spin attack, pretty much. You have to release a spin attack on the right frame in order to recoil off the rock and get hit by the ball on the right frame. Get up there. Meanwhile, we fight. Going to be using arrows whenever he's not close enough to get another hit in with the sword. And arrows, I believe, have a slightly higher damage per second rate than the sword. As you see, he uses a lot of arrows there. Once it gets to the part where Uganon starts teleporting, you actually want to manipulate him into teleporting into certain areas and then doing his attack where he throws his spear. It's the attack that allows you to get in the most hits against him. Let's see if Herreteman does this manipulation. Yep, he's going to do it. He's going to stand at the top, and he missed. Okay, that was interesting. Yeah, messing up the manipulation a bit. It's not quite doing manipulation, I guess. you can manipulate him to throw the spear pretty much every single time, and it is faster. You get like so many hits in when he throws the spear that it basically balances out for the extra time he teleports. But a pretty good fight. I believe he didn't get hit. Yeah. And the second phase is pretty easy. It's just tennis. And then avoiding some fairies. There's Zelda, gifting us with the bow of life. Only item in the game you can use while merged. Unfortunate that they didn't have any other items you can use while merged. Alice is fighting Gemstore. Herreteman continues to avoid the fairies. Fortunately, he's not using his bell strats, which those can be are certainly not faster. And then on the last round of tennis here, you can just mash. You can't on the first two rounds. This is just barely not going to be under 130. Yeah. Well, yeah. This is going to be a high 130 time. Meanwhile, Alice has 2 more dungeons to go, plus Laurel Castle. The times in the bracket don't actually matter. All you have to do is win at this point. Alright, GG to Herreteman. Meanwhile, Alice seems to be struggling with animation surge. There, she got it. Alright, so Herreteman will be hopping on in a couple minutes to do an interview. Meanwhile, we're going to be sticking with Alice, or I should say sticking with Herreteman's audio as Alice finishes up her run. Nearing the end of it. Just messing up slightly on the positioning, I believe, for that bomb rod in quotes. Again. This is one of the places that a lot of runners opt to use slow equipping just so they have enough time, and she's not gonna have time for it. Yeah. Hello, Herreteman.
Hi. I'm not happy about this, sorry.
Yeah.
I have no idea why I played like this. But at least I won, so...
At least you finished a run without any monster pieces.
No, I did collect the most of this, right?
Yeah, but then you reset to trial skip.
Oh. Right, I forgot about that. About this, sorry. I did reset the trial skip. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I said I had a breach on, but that doesn't excuse everything I did wrong, so whatever. I'm still surprised it was so close to sub 130.
You played pretty well between, like, throughout most of Laurel.
Yeah, Laurel was pretty hot until I nearly died at...
Oh yeah, the Dark Palace thing.
Dark Palace. Well, I said I had a...
Yeah.
I was spending a lot. Oh. Did I... No, I have it muted. That's weird. Wait, let me just mute the desktop audio too then. That's weird, I should not have the thing on the stream, so sorry about that. I was spending a lot. So yeah, usually you don't get hit at Dark Palace, so going at low health is ideal. But I really didn't want to die because I was going at one heart, and that's pretty bad. That's weird, I should not have. So I just took it super safe on the stream. So sorry. Without that, I could have sub 130 pretty easily, but whatever. So yeah, usually you don't get hit at Dark Palace.
I do have to say, I not I can't remember the last time I saw someone forget the Master Sword.
At one heart, and that's pretty bad. I'm surprised I forgot it, and I have no idea why it's just super safe. But I do have an idea, but except that I could have. I don't know if it's 1/3 it pretty easily. Good to share it because it happened again, and whatever. I left a comment on the race that should give me a hint of what happened, but you probably also saw it on stream. Except I didn't take as long this time. So
Oh yeah, when you were in Pyro Castle.
because it happened again, and yeah, I wanted to go to the cutscene as fast as possible for reasons. So I probably forgot Master Sword because of that. I left a comment on the race that should. It's not that big of a deal. It's basically an extra trip, so about 10 seconds. I didn't take as long this time. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, I wanted to go to the cutscene as fast as possible for reasons. So I probably forgot Master Sword because of that. It's not that big of a deal. It's basically an extra trip, so about 10 seconds. I don't know. So how did this go? Where is she? I should probably open
Alice has just finished Turtle Rock. She struggled a long time. Era.
Just like me.
Yeah. Well, you got it like third try. She was there probably 10 minutes maybe.
Oh, then yeah, definitely not a good time.
I believe she also forgot the blacksmith leather vein. Why she did that.
Just doing that. But easy to forget since you only release it once. Just way more important when we had to get the big bomb. But not anymore.
She's played it pretty safe throughout Laurel, but like she got Argus skip. Took a while with ice runs, but didn't like ended up getting it, so
but easy to forget since you only release it once. Just way more important when we had to get the big bomb. I can put some background noise or music with my stream.
Just go to the title screen maybe, I don't know.
I still don't know if I'll be getting the echo, so let me voice and video, output device, make sure it's that. So it doesn't pick up anything on stream, hopefully. I can put and that should be it. Noise or music with my stream. Oh, never mind. I know why there was echo. I'm stupid. I still don't know if I'll be getting the echo, so that should fix it, hopefully. Voice and video, output device, make sure it's that. So it doesn't pick up anything on stream, hopefully. And that should be it.
You should go to Thief's Hideout so we have the right music. Or this is fine. Draw off some window tricks. Oh.
All right. Here's the music. Unfortunately, I can't really go and get difficult anymore, so no difficult noises, sorry. Oh, did she fall down? What happened?
I think she fell down.
That's a pretty rare miss, actually, but whatever. I meant that this doesn't work, by the way.
What?
You'll probably see it. You'll probably see it on stream in about 10 seconds, maybe? I don't know. Whatever the league is.
Oh. Yeah.
Remember to get that chest in random whenever that happens.
Never.
There's another one here. This one actually has rupees. And this one has monster guards, I think. More rupees, never mind.
Oh yeah, so there is another quarterfinal match on Thursday, starting at around the same time, I believe 15 minutes later. And then another one on Friday at the same time. The last quarterfinal has not yet been scheduled, but it probably will happen sometime by Sunday. To make sure they schedule that as soon as possible. And then semifinals will probably be during the week, if possible, so that the championship can be next weekend. Alice finishing up boss. She'll be on her way to Laurel Castle. Well, that one's at 4 p.m. UTC. Thought the time was different, but maybe not. Oh, you're right.
Wait,
It
Alice
is.
is outside now. I'm probably
Okay.
supportive for this.
I think when I tweeted the times, I flipped when they were. I think it's Thursday at 2 Eastern, around 2 Eastern, and then Friday at noon, not Thursday at noon and Friday at 2. Okay, so I have to fix that again.
Since pretty much everyone on this bracket is European except for Ben and Rom and Wanu, most
no,
times are going to be EU friendly. So
I did tweet them correctly. It was just the Thursday one that I messed up and said it was at noon. Okay. Yeah, okay. Good soldier.
Yep. I was worried that the guy exists because he's usually roaming this right side and no one goes here. Alice is gonna get the backup. Building is right here, so pretty convenient. Alright, Alice. Get first strike. Avenge me. Ruined.
So now that you won Herreteman, you have to play either Nwanu or Ben. And
Yep.
you beat both of them during Swiss, right?
Pretty sure I did, but and one who has a better PV now, so I'm technically behind on that. Hey, Alice got it.
Yeah,
I'm probably
nice.
super late, but
No,
yeah,
I
nice.
just saw it.
Alright, with Blue Mail, no one should ever die to you again, so...
Blue Mail and Tornado Rod.
At this point, Tornado Rod strats are basically a meme. They don't help, in my opinion. I've gotten hit more times by doing Tornado Rod strats than actually dodging any attacks, so... It's really not worth it. I'm trying to remember what was the deal with the statues here. There was something you could do with the statues here that I forgot. Is it part of this, maybe? Do you remember the thing for this? Because I absolutely forgot.
To do what?
The funny statue meme in
Oh
this
no.
balance.
I don't even know what this is.
I think you can make them fall down some way. Using this super old trick to get this chest. Totally messed up. Alright, tennis.
Huh.
I think I have a highlight of this, so I'm just gonna take my memory time. Since I'm just music boy right now. Weird Laurel Castle statues. That is basically what I was thinking. Right, so while Alice is doing tennis too, I'm gonna try to recreate this super dumb thing.
Hmm? I was just trying to go too fast there.
Maybe trying to get the cool shot, but she probably doesn't know about it. You can turn around and emerge after shooting the other one. Sometimes you will turn around immediately and you'll hit his back at his weak point, so you don't really need to emerge. It's funny. Funny but not consistent, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so now I fall down here and statues. And that's
Oh. What? I've never seen this before.
It's a funny glitch. I don't remember the origin of this. Someone posted a clip basically.
Can you do anything more with them?
You can push them here and they glitch through the wall. And there was something. Alright, here. As is approaching the Triforce.
Oh, it slides down the stairs.
Was it here? Somewhere around here.
Yeah,
What's
Alice is almost done.
What's the funny thing that you can do here? I forgot. There was something with this door frame.
And Alice is done. Can you like dash into that corner?
I know. There was something that you could do here. It's probably on the same thing. Whatever, Alice finishes with 158.47.
Right, like dash diagonally, I don't know.
Oh, that's it. I remember now.
Oh.
That's for the closing room here.
Anyways. I think that's it.
I think Alice is not coming from either of you, yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
Alright, so you can push it like this and it slides. It's fun. And I lost it, so not fun anymore, sorry. Alright, I guess we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
See you for next match.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.